Watching your Mustang overheat can be one of the most gut-twisting feelings you can ever experience. As anyone would do, you start to overthink and panic about anything, everything, and all the above. In this video, we're gonna dive into the possible issue as to why your Mustang is getting hotter than Kylie Jenner, so you can get your whip back on the road stress-free until something else breaks. One of the most noticeable ways that you're able to know that your car is causing you issues or is getting too hot is by stating the obvious, and that is looking at your temperature gauge. I like to look at it as H stands for I need help ASAP and C stands for cool. So if you're right in the middle, you should be good to go. And moving along, if you have the premium model, and you can see from the second row to the top, you have a cylinder head temperature that's able to determine what your temperature is right here. In this case, since my car is off, it's not hot at the moment, but it's still kind of hot considering it's ass sweating 98 degrees outside. But since it's at 208 degrees, I've realized when the car is running, I'm usually running around 208 to around 214 degrees. And I realized with the issue I was starting to have that my car is starting to climb to around 220, 230, 240. And at that point, I knew that if I was to drive on this car anymore, I didn't want to have to run the risk of warping my heads, considering the fact that this is an aluminum block and it is a lighter material compared to the iron block. And to dive into the issue, the first thing we're gonna do is go right into the engine bay, because that's where all the issues are currently happening. And the very first thing that you're gonna notice the moment you pop open your engine bay is the fact that it looks like there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. With the exception if you have a blown water pump, when you'll realize that it's starting to leak coolant everywhere, which it just looks like complete fucking mess and you won't be able to miss it.
Let's do it again, I wasn't looking.
But in our scenario, you have to be able to dive in and dig into it. And the reason why I was able to find out this issue is because I realized that my fans were not turning on, especially after around 200, 212 degrees. And I was not able to find this on any forums of exactly what temperature the fans do turn on, but I know there's a high and there's also a low setting. And I knew my fans did work because when I went inside the car and I turned on my AC or my heater, I ended up, oh shit, I left my keys in here. I realized that the fan would turn on, so I knew that there is something wrong with the fan or even possibly a fuse. And the way you could do that is by checking these two fuses from what I can remember. I believe it's this one right here and this one right here. If either of these check out and they're good to go, then this is not the issue. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But moving forward though, from the fuses, the issue that I end up running into is actually sitting in my pocket. No, it's not. Yes, it is actually. It's sitting in my pocket. No, it's not. Hold on. Where did it go? Under my ass. But going back to what we're talking about, this is the issue you're gonna be running into, is this fat, big boy ass plug. This plug right here is what's causing you the majority of your issues. And the reason why is if you look closely, you'll realize on the inside of this plug on the right side that is completely burnt out. And this is a very common problem for 3.7 and also 5.0 owners that I've realized from reading through a bunch of forums where they say that your plug completely burns out. And it took me a minute to be able to find this, because when I ended up digging through this, is that your fan doesn't look like there's any issue with it whatsoever, because when you turn on the AC, the fan runs normally as it should. But when the car's running under normal operating temperature, for whatever reason that the car doesn't want to stay cool and it starts getting hot. So when you end up replacing this plug that you're able to find on eBay for around 24 to 30 bucks, is a great replacement to be able, you can get a nice easy fix without having to worry about replacing everything and spending a lot of money going to a dealer to have it fixed.
Until something else breaks.
And it's actually a pretty self-explanatory and easy install to do. And what I found what was easiest to do is to grab a screwdriver, and that's all you need is really a screwdriver. And right above your coolant reservoir, there's a plug with a black and a red wire. And from there, you'll see that there is this plug right here, and you push this to the side, and you'll see that there is a tab. You're gonna push that tab in with your flathead screwdriver, and from there, you'll be able to pull out the plug that will expose this one. Now, you might be running into two possible issues with this plug. You might be running into the issue to the one that connects to the fan, or you might be running into the issue to the one that connects to the actual plug itself. You have a plug that sits right next to the fan itself, dead center in the middle, and you have the one that leads the wire all the way up to the one that connects to wherever it hells it goes on the wiring harness. And while replacing this part, the easiest thing that you could do is to remove this whole shield that you have all across the front end of your bumper. And the reason why is because you want to be able to expose this wiring harness, as you guys can see right here that I have all taped up with electrical tape, because what you're going to end up doing is you're actually going to be splicing the wire and connecting brand new wire, as you guys can see I did right here. And what's weird is that the new plug comes with 4 wires, and you're not going to need all 4, and you're only going to need 3 of them, and the 3 obviously are the ones that came currently on the car. And the best advice I can give when it comes to plugging in this new plug is by clipping it one at a time and then connecting the new plug to the new and existing wire. Because doing that will ensure that you don't end up plugging the wrong plug in the wrong spot. What's nice about the unit that does come with the ones that you could buy off eBay, it already comes with heat shrinks as well as clips on there, and the only thing you're really gonna need is one of those electrical splicer thingy, whatever that they're called. I'm not really good with my tool names. And that's all you're gonna really need, so you can be able to clamp on and be able to wrap around the wire so it stays nice and tight and so it doesn't ever end up coming apart. Once you do that, all you have to really worry about right now is just turning on your AC just to make sure that your fans are running in the proper order, because you'll know that once you turn on your AC or your heater, that if you did everything right, your fans should turn on. And if you didn't do it right, then you'll know that your fans aren't working. And another way that you'll know that your operating temperatures are gonna work right is by letting your car idle for a little bit, give it a couple revs, or even just drive it down the road, or even take it around the block a few times. You'll realize your temperature gauge is running nice and smoothly. Now the car runs to about 230 to around 232 degrees before the fans do kick on and cool it down. While I'm driving on freeways or even just on normal roads, the car will stay cool and it'll stay at its normal operating temperatures. Now, if I'm sitting on an idle for a little bit longer, I'll realize that the numbers will start climbing again. Then obviously the fans will turn on if you did this whole process right. And to prove to you guys that this is working properly is, one, I am not home. Two, that ugly ass plug is completely removed off the car and I have something else in play. And to give it a quick little test, I'm gonna turn on the AC. You'll hear the car shake and you'll know that a lot of power is going to it, even though this car has no power at all. Once you go to the fan, you'll realize that it is spinning. And this is the plug that was causing all the issues, as you can see, burnt up top, and we don't need this anymore. Fuck this plug. I wasn't bullshitting with you guys when I told you in this video that this car is a piece of shit. Even though I do love this car, it's a piece of shit, or at least it's my piece of shit. And the car's been running about 3 to 5 minutes now, and as you guys can see, the coolant operating temperatures are just fine. I just felt the car shake, and I don't know if you, oh shit, I gotta run. Open the hood. As you guys see right here, the fan is running. And we run back into the car. It is at 234 degrees. We're gonna let it sit and cool down. As you guys can see, it's starting to drop at 232, 230, and then from there, it's gonna keep declining and declining. I'm gonna take a little bit of a detour, just a little bit, because I wanna be completely honest with you guys and tell you guys this connector did not work. At least it didn't work for me. From what I've seen online, it worked for other people, but unfortunately every car is different. And what I ended up realizing, because my car started overheating over on the freeway, it was blowing hot air while I was parked and blowing really cold air while I was driving. The car was also reaching a lot higher temperatures than what I was used to. As I was telling you guys in this video, around 230 degrees, the fans would turn on for me, and it was going way above that. And on the freeway, it would kind of like stay at a little bit of an average temperature, but when I came to a stop, it would start climbing up and up and up again. And from there, I also realized too, the car was getting a lot hotter and the fans weren't turning on once more. After examining and trying to figure out what the issue was, after seeing the radiator was leaking even more because the car was overheating, I ended up finding out that the plug ended up burning out again. Now, this might work for some of you guys out there who just replace the plug and you don't have to worry about it ever again. In my circumstance, I wasn't able to do that, so I ended up having to just buy a brand new fan just a couple minutes ago, and also at the same time too, buy a brand new plug. What I ended up finding as a temporary solution though, in order to fix this plug just in the meantime until this part does come in, I ended up taking apart all that plastic away on the inside, sanded down the plug, and I also cleaned out the plug on the inside of the fan as well, because you gotta think about it too. That's gonna be dirty as well, considering that plastic melted on that on the inside. So cleaned all that up, plugged it in, the fan ended up working out once more. All this because of that one connector that was burnt out in there. That is crazy to me. Because originally it just wasn't working at all. Turn on the AC, turn on the heater, it wasn't working. Any sort of low or high temperature, yeah, it just was not turning on at all. So I came to a conclusion, and Joe even told me this prior to this. If you guys haven't seen Joe in the previous videos, he's a lot smarter than I am if you haven't caught on to that already. And he told me, dude, replace the fan, replace the fan. Replace the fan. And I'm like, nah, people online, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And I should have listened to him. I don't want to admit that, but I should have listened to him. But if I had to give a recommendation, I recommend changing out the fan as well as a plug, so you potentially don't have to run into this issue again. And with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one.